everybody. I'm Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And it is lovely to see you today. I had the most wonderful experience yesterday when I was shopping at Whole Foods. I heard a woman behind me say, Lisa, is that you? And I turned around and I looked at this woman and said, have we met? And she said, no, but I listened to your podcast and I wanted to tell you how wonderful it is. So first of all, thank you for stopping and saying hello. And also, it was a wonderful experience to meet someone out in the real world who is a listener. So thank you. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most important subjects of all. And it's why you should never rush into a relationship. The one thing you never want to do is rush into a relationship, a marriage, a partnership with anybody. I don't care how you feel. I don't care if every cell in your body is lit up every which way from Sunday. It doesn't matter. You cannot trust your chemistry. You've got to slow it down.
And I know that I've been guilty of this.
I never have done it. What do you mean? No, most everyone has done this. Yeah. We meet someone. We've been taught that romantic relationships are supposed to feel alivening and different, and there should be fireworks and all. And what most people don't understand is that that's just hormones. That's just chemistry. It is not built on anything more than that. And there's so much mythology around this.
And people are so hungry for a relationship. They're so hungry to find the one that they bypass so many steps along the way, rushing into what they think is going to be the happy forever after.
Yeah, and it's really important to know that you have to slow this down. You really do. If you look around, there's a 50% divorce rate for first marriages. Do you know what the divorce rates are for second and third marriages, babe?
No.
Brace yourself. So there is a 67% divorce rate for second marriages and 74% for third marriages. So it actually gets worse and worse and worse. How many marriages have you had?
Let's just say I have rice marks on my face.
Although third was a charm here, right? Yeah, so people make a mess of this and they go from relationship to relationship to relationship and they keep thinking, oh my God, this is it. Okay, I got it right this time. Nope. Okay, I got it right this time. I've even spoken to women on calls who have been married 4 times.
Yeah. And we're not talking only about marriage. We're talking about moving in together.
Mm-hmm.
And it can lead to so many, detrimental things, which we'll talk about later on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, babe, let's go back to something that you started to talk about. What causes us to rush in?
Well, we're surrounded by these stories in books, on TV and movies about these magical relationships where people meet and they realize they're the ones, and they get together and they start a journey, for the rest of their lives. And a lot of it is not based on building a foundation, on building trust and safety, and having shared experiences, and really getting to know the person. I think so many relationships start, intense relationships, and people rushing in and even moving in without really knowing the other person. It's so often based on projections, on who we think that person is without who we know that person is.
And talk to me from a male perspective about rushing in. From a man's perspective, why do men do it?
Well, if a man really likes a woman, is really attracted and thinks that she's a prize, he wants to seal the deal. He doesn't want it to slip into a friend zone where, you're going out to the movies, you're going out to dinner, and it's not really going anywhere. And the man is afraid that some other guy is going to come in and sweep her off her feet. So, he wants to seal the deal by rushing in and either proposing or having them her move in, or, finding a shared space together.
And yet men are so afraid, or women think men are so afraid to commit. So that, I think for a lot of women, they're like, yeah, well, I've never had that experience
Right.
where a guy rushed in and wanted to seal the deal with me.
Well, guys do.
Yeah.
Guys do. And I don't know what percentage, the balance between men rushing in and women rushing in, but I think both men and women love the feeling, the excitement of, oh my gosh, this is great. This is going to be forever. And if it's so good now, it's only going to get better with time.
So let me ask you, like from your own personal perspective, can you think of a time where you rushed in?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Can you talk about where you were at mentally, emotionally, why you would do that?
Well, this is my third marriage, and this has been
No, no, this is your third marriage?
and so and this has been 20 years of the happiest years of my life. But it's a learning curve. And my second marriage, I was so ready to be married. Marianne Williamson talks about having a picture frame and just waiting for put a picture in. And I had the house, I had the career, I had the good credit score, and I was longing for family. I was longing for having a wife and family. And
Can you pause for 1 second?
Yeah.
Because I think what you just said there is something that most women haven't heard a man say aloud, that you were actually longing for a family
yes,
and you wanted to settle down.
yes.
Why? Like what did you see for yourself? Why were you longing for that?
I don't know if there's a vocabulary, but it felt like it was the missing piece, of being on this planet. That I was a bachelor, and which was great. I enjoyed my life. I loved my career, which I've been doing for over 40 years. But it seemed like I was missing out on something that the rest of the planet was experiencing.
Wow.
And
How old were you?
I was in my late 30s. So, I was probably around 37 or so.
And so when you married her, when you met and all, you really were thinking like this was the person that you would spend the rest of your life with.
You know what? I made the mistake, and I made many mistakes with it, but that because I didn't find in all these years, almost all these decades, I never found the perfect person. So I thought, I'm going to find a good person and make it work. And I felt, foolishly felt that it has to work because we're married. We're in this bell jar, and, it has to work. And whatever comes up, we can work through it because we're married.
Whoa.
And it was just the opposite, because rushing in, we didn't really establish, she lived in another part of the country, so we didn't really establish that day-to-day friendship, that trust and safety and shared experiences that's so important to have, to build a foundation of love and happily forever on. So I rushed into it because we lived in separate cities, and there was no way. She had a career in Chicago. I had a career in Los Angeles. And so I was just thinking, it's just like, I'm going to make this work. And without really knowing the person, having a lot of projections of who she was and also projections of what it could be. And so the reality set in, even, on our honeymoon. You know, so
From what you described, even before the
yeah,
honeymoon,
exactly.
you actually knew, yeah,
Yeah,
you started to know.
yeah.
Wow. And so when you say you rushed in, how long was it? How long was the courtship before the time between when you met and when you got married?
I'd have to think about that, but I would say that when we first met, it was 1989. When we got married, it was 1992, early 1992. So it was late 89, early 92. So that was all of, I probably proposed after about a year of courting, of flying back and forth. And, and just, it was all projection. It was all, something that I was so hungry for. And she was so hungry for. But neither one of us knew each other. And I would have to say that at that time, neither one of us fully knew ourselves. And so we hadn't done the work, and so, people say, well, marriage is to work things out, and it's grist for the mill, and it's how people grow. And to some degree, that's right. But it's so important for individuals to do the work first. And when they do the work first, they understand boundaries, they understand who they are and who they're not, what they want and what they don't want.
Can I pause you though?
Please.
That's really ideal in the sense that if you're young and you have children with somebody, you're going to meet at a pretty early age.
Yeah.
And the more I do this work, the more I realize that women should be having children younger, somewhere probably in their late 20s or early 30s to be on the safe side. And at that time, we're children.
Right.
But if they want families, if they want babies, so in some ways, I'm just thinking about this as you and I are talking, my God, the importance of doing work like a program like ours for a woman who's that age and wanting to choose a partner consciously and not rush in and have a beautiful, loving, lasting, healthy relationship, she would benefit immeasurably from working with us.
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh my goodness.
Right?
I mean, that is what the course is about.
Yeah.
And everyone, even we've had psychotherapists in our
Yeah.
practice, in your practice, that has done years of work, years, and they'll say that, Lisa, with all the work that I've done, this has been revelatory. I never have grown as much in these 12 weeks as I have in all the years.
Yeah.
And that's not hyperbole. We've heard it so many times.
Yeah, we have. And one of the things is a lot of the younger women that I talk to on calls, they often feel that I think they've got their lives ahead of them and they, it sounds like a good idea, but they're focused on their friends and their careers and whatever. And, I'll just meet somebody. But the truth is, yes, you may just meet somebody. And that's exactly what we're talking about right here. If you can actually go into that, if these women could go into that consciously and not make the mistakes that you and I did, because we had no, the kind of criteria that we help a woman determine is so different than what most women think they should be looking for, right? Like we help them really get to what we call their final five.
Right.
Those 5 essential qualities that they have to have in their next partner. And we put them through a process, a very intense process in the course that's actually 2 parts, right? Where they go through their whole history of relationships, including their mother and father, and then they do the final 5 exercise based on that. So it's an intense week just to get them to clarify what they really have to look for in a partner,
Yeah. And these aren't just 5 things that they really desire.
or that they make up out of thin air.
Right. These are 5 things that going through their relationship inventory
Yeah.
that have been missing.
Right.
Or were had the opposite happen, that was detrimental to themselves and to the relationship.
Yeah, they settled or they compromised for things that they really knew they needed.
So in a course like ours, we make sure that no one is going to settle. No
Yeah.
one is going to compromise. I mean, relationships have some degree of compromise, but it doesn't mean giving up our core values.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it means really being able to find somebody who has your core values. I don't know, the process is amazing, but what women learn and who they become in a span of 3 short months is astounding. And as we're talking, it's just striking me the degree to which young women of childbearing years would be giving themselves the gift of the century to be able to do this, get clear on what they must have, know, the qualities to look for, be able to tell, like to sit across from a man and know if he's emotionally available or not. There is nothing in the world that could be more devastating than being a mother, having children, and then turning around and realizing that they're in a relationship with an avoidant man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It'd be a nightmare,
Yeah.
and the cost of that, the cost to the children, to themselves, the years of wasted time. It's devastating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, building a foundation takes time. As I say, it's shared experiences, it's trust, it's safety, it's knowing that, our course is about finding the guardian of your soul and being the guardian of another person's soul, and which is possibly the most beautiful thing that could happen on the planet.
Possibly.
Yes. Yes.
Not even possibly. It is.
Yeah.
It's everything that it's everything. It's the secret to life.
Yeah. And beyond the projection, beyond the fairy tale, beyond the, really, like putting aside red flags, yellow flags and red flags, that their gut is telling them something is off, and they're going to go full speed ahead because it's something that they crave. We want a guardian of our soul. We want a guardian of our soul, and we want to be able to be a guardian of someone else's soul. But without that foundation,
And what's the foundation, babe?
well, the foundation
Trust
is
and
safety, shared experiences, just knowing how people, the other person, exists in this world, how they, are they a courteous driver? How are they with the wait staff? Do they have a generosity of spirit? Are they emotionally available?
Are they kind?
Are they kind? Are they truly financially secure? And mature.
Right. Do they tell stories, or do their actions and words match up? Do they follow through with their promises?
Yeah, and do your wants and needs align? Like if someone loves to travel, I mean, it's just their life, and they may love to go on photographic vacations, or and the other person just wants to stay home and watch, football. So it takes time, because in the courting process, it's always a honeymoon, and you see the best of the person, and you have the best of time. There's more alcohol, there's more fun, there's more late nights, there's more heart-to-heart talks. But those heart-to-heart talks are just one piece of it, an important piece. But really being with someone in the world, and not only seeing how they are, but how you are with them.
And if they're willing to make room for you in their life, it's like one thing to have fun for a while and, enjoy each other's company, but is this person willing to integrate you into his life?
Oh, I had a client in Los Angeles that a classic avoidant, and he's kind of the typical playboy image, just having as many conquests and even lying to women, saying that, yeah, I'm interested in having children, or I want children, and he's had a vasectomy, and all these things. So he finally met a woman that he fell for, really fell for, and he invited her to move into his home in West Hollywood, up in the hills, a nice house, and he bought her an armoire, and that was it. There was no making room for her. There was no, like when you and I moved in together, we got an entirely separate home that we bought, and we got rid of all of our furniture, almost all of our furniture. We put on the front lawn, had a yard sale, which is essentially giving things away.
Right.
I'll give you $35 for the couch. Great. As long as you get it off the lawn this afternoon. We started with a fresh page for both of us that we could build on.
And can I just say
please.
that I was 42 and you were
49.
51?
Oh,
we
right,
were
right,
we were
right,
not kids,
right.
We had full lives. We had
Yeah.
complete apartments and households and we just took it all and put it on the front lawn and started over together.
Because I didn't want you to move into my place with my things, and I didn't want to move into your place with your, one of your prized pieces of furniture was a Vietnamese birthing chair that I would have to look at every day.
I think that hung around for a while. Somehow. Yeah. No, we just wanted to create a life together.
So you really want to see how much the person is going to make room and how much they want to hold on to their
And
life.
include you in his life. And,
Absolutely. And,
and
not
share
just,
his time with you.
and not just have it as a spice. Like, oh, I have my life and now this person's coming into my life, rather than we are going to merge and share our lives completely.
Yeah. So let's talk about the consequences or the cost of rushing in.
Well, of course, sometimes we pay a price in time that we'll never get back, particularly if a woman is in the childbearing years. That time is precious. And to waste, years with someone who is avoidant or just isn't the right person, and one has rushed into it, with the idea of, the preconception, this is it, this is going to be great, and the person never, really settles, wants to have kids, it turns out it keeps postponing it. Well, that's fine for him, but not fine for a woman who is in her 30s and wants a family, wants a
Right.
couple kids. So the time is precious.
Yeah, and nobody realizes, and we should actually just do a podcast episode on time.
Yes.
Because nobody knows, few people on the planet really know what this is. And all of our lives, I think for most human beings, we're subconsciously searching for this. That's what every human being is really doing. Now, we put up walls, we've gotten hurt, we shift our focus to other things. But this is the meaning of life. This is it right here. And so every single second that we're not paying attention, that we're not being aware, everything we do in life is leading to being able to do this with another human being. And so once you find it, you'll never have enough time together. It doesn't matter if it's 60 years or if it's, 15 years. You will never have enough time with your partner. And when you meet that person, it just goes so fast.
Yeah. These 20 years have been a blink of an eye. I mean, if I were to go back and think of all the amazing things we've,
Oh my God.
the countless intimate moments, days, months, years, the adventures we've had.
Oh
that
God,
we've
it's
shared.
been amazing.
Yeah. And things that I never would have experienced or felt.
Oh, baby.
If I weren't with you.
Thanks.
So,
Yeah.
and we were talking about the consequence. And please,
But I want to say one thing. We didn't rush into this.
no.
The consequences that we paid, we can talk about the consequences we paid. You and me, I stayed way too long in a marriage that I never should have been in with a person. Like, looking back, I know at the time that was the best I could do, but I rushed in and I got swept up because I wanted to be in love and I wanted someone, but I had no idea what I was doing. And I spent 13 years with him.
Yeah. Yeah. My first marriage, that lovely woman should never have been with me. The second marriage, I never should have been with her. The first marriage, I still had a lot of life to live and a lot of work I needed to do on myself. You don't realize it until you come face to face with it. And in something like a live-in relationship, we think, well, we'll learn from it, but it's more likely to break before we really learn, and it just winds up as heartache, and deep wounding.
And money, it's expensive.
Very,
Financially, what yours cost you in one way, mine cost me in that, it cost me financially, but it also cost me because I didn't grow. In our relationship, I've grown not just as a person, but in my career, in my capacity to earn financially, but he held me back. We held each other back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And divorce is expensive.
When we met, and we just dated and got to know each other, and by the fifth date, we sat down and had a conversation about, like, if this is, going where I think it's going, these are the things you need to know about me, about my health, finances, all of the things, just so that, good, bad, ugly, that you knew everything. And so we went on from there. And we talked about sex, that, that it was so, this relationship is becoming so important that we don't want to become lovers before we really become friends. Because so many people do that, when you're attracted to someone, when you really, really like someone a lot, that it's so easy to slip into sex because it's sometimes the easiest way particularly for a man to express emotion. And so we put that off for 6 weeks, was it?
Well, it would have been longer because I went away.
Right.
So I was gone for 3.5 weeks.
Yeah,
so it was actually quite a while. It would have been over like 3 months.
Yeah, about 3 months.
Yeah.
And that gave us a chance to really become friends, to laugh a lot together, to, know our idiosyncrasies, and to see if there are any yellow flags, any red flags, any deal breakers, and to trust our gut. And if I trusted my gut with other relationships, I wouldn't have had those relationships. So listening to, our gut is important. And I think for many people, they go into a relationship, they'll rush into a relationship, and in their gut, they know that something is off. But they'll say, oh, well, it's not as important as this, wonderful feeling I'm having, so we can work through that. And that feeling in the gut grows stronger and stronger and stronger. And then to the point where it says, oh, I should have listened to my gut.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. I was thinking about one of the ironies, and just as you were talking about how, the orchestration of our coming together and what we often see in our program with the women who find the guardians of their souls, which we have many, by the way. But you and I, we knew very quickly, like you went home the night we went on our first date and took down your profile. Thank you for doing that, by the way.
Right.
Much appreciated.
And I didn't even tell you I did.
No, I never knew. I didn't know for a year. It wasn't a common thing to like, I'm going to take my profile down. We were early days of online dating, so all of these precedents had not been set, and we never even talked about it. You told me you were telling somebody, about our first date, and I think a year afterward, you said, oh, and I went home and I took down my profile the night we met, and I was dumbfounded. That just is so touching to me. But you weren't being in a rush, and you weren't trying to show me or demonstrate something like so many people do. They use the taking down of the profile as a symbol.
Or as a hook.
As a hook. That's what I meant.
I took my profile down, and there's a long pause. And they're waiting for the other person to say, I did, or I will, and so it's a way to hook someone.
Yes, it is.
Which is why I didn't tell you I did.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And we knew, like you really thought, I think I may have met my person.
Well, I was in my late 40s. When we met, I was 49, just before my 50th
That's
birthday.
pretty late 40s.
Yeah. And, I've been in a lot of relationships. I've dated a lot of women over those decades. And so even though I wasn't online for that long, my experience told me that, wow, this is someone who I want to get to know. I wasn't projecting saying that this is going to be my wife, but this is someone I really want to explore knowing. This is someone, there's a lot of simpatico, a lot of resonance, and the conversation is easy and intimate, and it just grew. But I think if we rushed in, I'm going to be 70 in a couple months, so I lived through that period of sexual freedom, and that, the third date, if not the first date, but something was wrong if you didn't have sexual intimacy by the third date. And, where are those relationships now? Evaporated, gone, just because, we're lovers. Now what do? We have to backtrack and become friends and, get to know each other. But laid on top of that is when you're lovers, there's expectations.
Yeah.
Well, what are we going to do next Sunday? Or, Thanksgiving, of course, we're going to, be at my family or your family, and all of these things. And it's just like, whoa, it's like suddenly being on a high-speed moving sidewalk,
Wow.
And, it's just, takes us away, and we can't maintain that. We can't maintain that feeling that we had, with that initial sexual attraction, because now we have real life.
We really, I think also, we're so conscious and grounded. And if the journey, I know for me, from being so unconscious to being so conscious, and looking at who I was being and my impact, and, and then how I was being with men. I mean, I didn't want to rush in. I wanted genuine conscious connection with somebody, with a real man. And I trusted my gut that I would know when I met that person, that I trusted that I really do. I used to be a judge of character, right? And now I realized I was just judging people. But now I'm a really good read, of someone's character. And I also know that even my initial impression of somebody, I just remind myself, this is what I'm seeing and this is, what I'm observing about this person. But I need to still take a moment and perception check.
Yeah, and we remind the women in the course again and again when they think they found the guy early on, and we remind them, you really don't know that person yet.
Yeah.
You really, but we've had these amazing dinners, and we closed the restaurant down talking, and he brought me flowers.
And I asked him what he's looking for, and he described me.
And we really don't know that person.
Yeah, we don't know each other yet. Yeah.
And time is the main ingredient.
Right. And if women follow what we're talking about, we're not saying like as you build your consciousness and your awareness in this part of your life, and you're not rushing in, and you're having faith and trust that it's out there and that you can find it, that you'll stay out there until you do. There's a whole different way that our women enter into relationship. So it happens quickly. Yeah. By the time when they follow our process and they actually really do meet the guardian of their soul, because of the way we've put the pieces of the puzzle together, it's actually quite a quick process that can be anywhere from the 3 months of the course, probably to up about 2 years. That's usually the time span where our most dedicated clients find their partner within that time frame.
And one of the reasons it's not immediate is that women will take the tools that they've learned and take it out into the dating world and really not only become more precise for the men that they're going out with, that they're dating, but they become more, and for lack of a better word, precise in their interactions, in how focused they could be, and conversational and playful, and all these things that grow until the right man is sitting across from them at the table, and it's just everything. Everything is there to build on, not to rush in, but to build on.
And they have to discover those parts of themselves. See, when we're dating most of the time, and why we rush in is we meet that person and we just feel I feel playful, I feel feminine, whatever, until you don't, right? But we get our clients to open up those parts of themselves, to explore those parts of themselves through this dating process, and so that they become that woman, and then they attract the man to them. And they have that beautiful, playful, alive relationship that they've been dreaming of. But usually most people, although they have a dream of a relationship, and then they go, oh my God, I found it, and they rush right in, we show our clients how to actually become the person they need to be in order to attract that for real.
Yeah.
It's a cool process. It really is. I love it. I mean, I know I created it. I know I created the initial program. So some of the costs, just to go over some of this, that the costs of rushing in are that you run the risk of repeating old patterns and never having the love you really want. Yeah. You just stay in that cycle of thinking, I'm just got to meet the right guy. I just got to when I meet the right guy, let that go. You've met the right guy many, many, many times, most of you throughout your life, and you keep picking the wrong guy. Yeah. And that's why. And if you don't stop and start to really examine what you're doing, you're going to keep doing this. So you got to slow down. You've got to take a different approach. We also waste time in the wrong relationships only to find out they were never right in the first place. Like my marriage to my ex-husband. He was a life raft for me. I held on to him for all the wrong reasons. You know, I was scared. I was afraid to grow. I was afraid to be alone. So I did that for 13 years that I'll never get back.
And being with the wrong man, it's fortunate that you didn't have children.
Oh, God.
A lot of the women coming into our program, they have kids, and there's a animosity between the ex and a difficulty with the
Yeah.
vision of child rearing and all of that. It just compounds the heartache and the misery.
And not just for the woman, it affects the kids mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
It scars them for life. We go through endless heartache. You know, we're just constantly bouncing around until, for a lot of people, they just give up or they focus on their work, the things that they can do where they feel they're powerful, and they push their love lives away. Sometimes we wind up paying a financial price. You and I both did that.
Oh, yeah. I remember that I wrote checks out for alimony and for, establishing this person in a new business. And so I wrote them all out at the same time, and I would mail them out every month or whatever it was. And I got a call from by the time I was so angry, by the time I wrote the last check, I just like scribbled my signature. And I got a call from the bank saying that we have a check here, but it doesn't look like your signature. And I said, is it for so-and-so? Is it for such a... I said, yes. Yeah, no, that was me.
You never told me that story.
I was just
Oh
writing
my
a
God.
whole bunch of checks at the same time, knowing that I'd mail them out sequentially. And, they said, it's not your signature, and we just wanted to check with you because it was a small bank, and they knew me. And
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Whoa. And then, I think another one that's really worth mentioning is just being on an endless, anxious, avoidant roller coaster ride and the years of our lives and the damage that those kinds of relationships, cause mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. They're just horrible. That thinking that your salvation lies in that person coming back to you and, all the horrible things they said, and they come back and they say, oh my God, I love you. And there's this catharsis, like a romance novel, and you live happily ever after. And people are chasing that in those those anxious avoidant relationships. Oh my God, it's just horrible to even think about. And I've been there myself. So let's talk about what going slow looks like.
Well, we encourage people to date multiple people so they don't focus and project on one person like this is it. And every waking moment, they're thinking about that person and that this is the right guy. So
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
Also, so that they have comparison. Usually, very often we meet the next guy we meet, we think, oh, this is it. But we really don't almost shop around. And as our women become more empowered, self-empowered, and have more agency in their dating lives, they start to see that the guys keep getting, as they get better and better, the guys keep getting better and better.
Yeah.
So we want to slow them down. And even if they do meet a guy and they think, wow, I think I might have met my Benjamin, then they will, we will say, keep dating other men.
Yeah. And we encourage people to date 3 people at the same time, or at least be in communication with 3 people.
But when they meet a guy they really like and think might have their final 5 and be the guy, we still tell them, don't stop dating.
Yeah.
Stay out there until you're exclusive. Don't get offline and stay out there so you don't put all your eggs in that one basket.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, couple of things I just always want to remind people, it is so important. You are out there dating and you want to always, always, always do a background check on anybody that you are going to date, no matter how great you think this guy is. Don't take it on face value. Do not just assume that there's no skeletons in his closet. You want to do like peoplefinder.com, something along those lines. Do a background check. Don't eliminate somebody on traffic tickets or small infractions. If there's something that you're just not clear about, then talk to him about that. But don't fly blind out in the dating world, because we've had women who have come back to us after a year and said, oh my God, this guy had a second life and a second wife, like a wife.
And another girlfriend.
And a girlfriend, and I didn't even know it. And had I done a background check, it would have all been there. So you also want to do what's called a Google reverse photo search on people you're dating. A lot of scammers are getting savvier and savvier and harder to spot. And so I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how you think that you know what you're doing and that you're, look at the Tinder swindler. This is a guy, he's still out there. And believe me, there's many more like him. I don't say that to scare you. I say that to make yourself smart so that you don't get pulled into a relationship, rush in with some guy who's really, good at seduction. And we're not talking about guys in, somewhere in Africa who are scamming. There are people like the Tinder swindler who are guys that look, like my husband, who can come off as charming and romantic and take your money and marry you. And, so watch out.
Yeah.
Going slow.
And, it's also waiting to have sex, waiting to have the sexual intimacy. And what people rush past is that time between meeting and being wildly attracted to someone and their first sexual encounter. That is a delicious period of time, that limerence, that tension that builds up. And so, to savor that time, and rushing in and having sex before the things that we talked about, to establishing a foundation, trust, safety, shared experiences, who they are in the world, background checks, all of these things. And then sex is just this organic thing that happens. But there's often in successful relationships a discussion of let's wait, let's get to know each other. And so it happens organically rather than the only way two people know how to express their emotions for each other.
Yeah. It's so wild. There's a level of maturity in both a man and a woman, or a woman and a man, who are willing, who are intelligent enough and aware enough to understand how the sex influences the relationship, and to be able to look at that and make a conscious choice that if this, I would look at you and I would think, if this is the man I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, then why would I rush in? We're going to be together. I don't want to miss anything. And we didn't. We remember so many of our dates leading up to when we had sex, but vividly, because we were so present and we just weren't focused on, oh my God, when are we going to do it? And, it's the third date. I guess it's time. We really took our time with that. So,
and also, people will give disclaimers early on in a relationship, they'll almost give a warning early on So if they do that particular behavior, or they are that type of person, they feel that they've really warned the person early on. So these disclaimers that someone might give to a woman, like, it's I've never really been monogamous, in my life. I think this is going to be the time, but I've never been monogamous, or, I've had financial issues, or I'm having financial issues. Disclaimers that people will give early on, so they're not blamed for these things later on. That's like, well, I warned them.
Yeah, or I can have a real temper, or when somebody really crosses me, so to watch out for that.
Yeah.
Also, just pay attention to your gut. If your gut is telling you something is wrong, listen to it, because so many of us have gone through relationships only to turn around and say, I knew it. I just knew there was something off about this guy. And if you don't have a read, then, talk to your friends, perception check, but don't just brush it under the carpet or make up or spin it or go, oh no, it wasn't really that bad. I started to realize that little things that someone would do, if there was that little thing, there was something much deeper, right? An unkindness, critical nature, an offhanded, mean comment. And I started to realize that was a sign of a bigger issue, a bigger problem. Just the fact that somebody thought it was okay to do that was showing me what his level of emotional intelligence was.
Yeah. Or are they estranged from their parents, from their siblings, from their children?
Well, you got to find out why. You have to see why, because sometimes we have clients who have narcissistic partners who have alienated the children from them.
Yeah.
So you got to look into those things. You can't just take them at face value, but you want to explore them, because we know somebody who had married a man who was estranged from his family, and then it turned out in the end that was a glaring sign that he had cut his parents off.
Yeah.
And then he cut her off in the same way. Yeah. So you just don't know, but you've got to really look at these things. And another thing is really watch for inconsistencies in someone's behavior. If they're saying one thing but doing another, especially with men, you want to pay attention to that. Is he just telling you what you want to hear, or making promises to you, and you set your little heart on, those things, and then he doesn't deliver, or he turns it back on you and makes it feel like, well, I didn't say that, or what do you mean? And so just really pay attention to that stuff. Is there reciprocity? Is there an equal give and take? And I'm not talking about like tit for tat. I'm not talking about like, he spent this much on dinner, now I have to do this, counting pennies and dividing things.
It's a generosity of spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. And then the other thing that I would really say, and, this isn't to be self-promotional, but at the same time it is. I'm a coach for a reason. Benjamin is a coach for a reason, because it makes a night and day difference in people's lives. Working with a coach, we open up another universe for our clients in the realm of dating and relationship and men and women and connection. This program, even though it's 12 weeks, most of the women that go through it say it was the most amazing 12 weeks of their lives, And it's not like all these other courses that you all are doing out there are not awesome, because they're teaching you and helping you build a new mind, expand your mind and all. But there is something about bringing all the pieces of the puzzle together in this part of our lives. because this is the biggest gift in life. This love. Your own dude. To lover, playmate, best friend for life. Yeah. All right. So don't rush in. Take your time. Find the guardian of your soul. And if you want to do this consciously and you want to do it much faster than you could ever imagine, then go to lisashield.com. And we launched our new website.
Right.
All right. We have a brand new website. Please go check it out. We are so proud of this. We've been working over a year. I think we could have had a child in this time, but we love it. There's two big banners of all of our success stories. It talks all about the work we do, who we are, yada, yada. So go check that out. Please, there's also a tab there where you can watch the podcasts right on the site. So we list all the old podcasts. They're right there. Please tell your friends, your sisters, your brothers, your uncles, your aunts, your nieces, your nephews, your girlfriends, your boyfriends, whatever about this podcast. Please support us. Go to Spotify or Apple or anywhere you get your podcasts, and I would love it if you would write a wonderful review. They mean so much to us, and we love hearing your feedback, what we can do better. You can also email us by writing an email to podcast@lisashield.com. You can give us a thumbs up on YouTube. I do this podcast, Dating with Drama, and it has two...
Dating without drama.
Dating without drama.
Yes.
Did I say with drama? No. Okay, I'm going to play that tape back. Did I really? Okay, well, dating without drama. And there's 2 episodes a week. We do Getting Inside the Right Male Mind with me and Benjamin, or Benjamin and me. It's politer. And then... or is it more polite? Politer, more okay, and then I'm Losing Focus. And then I do Lunch with Lisa. And then finally go to the website, check it out. If you like what you hear us saying, you can watch my free 45-minute presentation. I have had women come on a breakthrough call with us. If you stay to the end, I or one of my sales team will jump on a call with you to show you how we can help you find the guardian of your soul. And many women have come on those breakthrough calls literally with a notebook. They took notes on the webinar and said it was fabulous. So go check that out as well. I'm Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.